Hello one and all, and welcome back to the Lazer Grand Arena. Here we are introing you off for our block of Saturday matches today. As you can see by our list, got plenty to go, but to kick you off is going to be a secret box in the Seed 6 classic Australian all-round player versus Hadayo, one of the many Polish 4WC standouts that have qualified for the Lazer Grand Arena this time around. I am Hubba Wubba, making my late Osu live debut, and joining me is the man who made his debut last night, Blanktap. How are you feeling about the matchup?
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting. Basically, super all-star. Everyone knows him, everyone loves him. It's a secret box, but on the other side, not a slouch either. Hadayo is definitely one of those hidden gem kind of a player, but let's see if he can prove himself right here in the Lazer Grand Arena. And remember, it is going to be a single elimination bracket for now, so everything matters, and any kind of upset will be huge and will affect the bracket entirely, I feel.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be, it's going to come down to the wire, I think. There's going to be a lot of prep for this match, I think. But, at least from Hadayo's side, Secret Box learned about the format of this tournament when spectating the match last night, so we'll see how he adjusts to it. First bans coming through is going to be the Hidden 2 for Hadayo, which makes sense. Secret Box is going to be that #1 performer on the Hidden 2 in quals. And for Secret Box, it's going to be the Laser mod ban. The freeze frame there is very difficult for that preparation that we're expecting Hadayo to have done.
Yeah, but very interesting with the protect though. No mod 1 for Hadayo. Looking to do a bit of those all-round aim maps with the stream and things.
Yeah, it is very interesting. The no mod 1 refer there. I suppose just plenty all-rounded is Hadayo, if not preferential to that kind of high BPM aim. He was a top performer on DT1. That was the only map that Hadayo on qualifiers outperformed a Secret Box on. So that is going to be the play there, and that is being shown doubly with the fact that a Secret Box is banning DT1.
And not even wasting any breath, DT3 straight up on the board. Secret Box going in with quite a quick map. It's Pupa at 1.2 times speed, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, 1.2 times speed Pupa gonna be around that 240 to 245 BPM range. This is a Hood Classic stream map. I imagine a lot of the 5 digits in the chat know all about Pupa. Here, it just becomes a stamina behemoth, though. There's a handful of jumps in there that you gotta look out for, but with the 1.2 times speed, you're not looking at any air 10.3 or anything like that. It's right under air 10. Should be a comfortable tapping check for both of these players.
Yeah, a very solid 242 BPM stamina pick. Let's see if the Secret Box can get some point advantage early on with this one. Double time 3, our first map on our very first set. Good luck, have fun.
And we go with some of this hybrid mapping. Some of these early streams can be way less low aim difficult than the latter half, but with the laser scoring differences, the main focus is going to be on that accuracy, which a Secret Box, despite that early break, is holding on to the 99.3 continuous, and now that Hadayo has traded, it's going to be a big opening for Box.
Down to a 4% accuracy deficit after that long stream. Going into the basically jumpy part of the map. Bit of a break before another stream strikes yet again. A 30k difference, not too painful just yet. But we still have one last part to anticipate.
Yeah, and if anything, this accuracy, uh, yeah, as he builds back up to the 99 mark, is just so consistent from Box. We see why it's the first pick here, as score line slowly building over 40k to 50. Should be a solid wall of defense for that cumulative score.
To the last stream now, let's see if he can increase it even more. Hedaya, will he find a blunder? Will he find a mistake? The last few streams he's hitting it very beautifully, finally finding the miss, and he just skyrockets that lead, doubling it to 100k, a secret box with a solid start in the beginning.
Yeah, that's the highest accuracy we've seen on that map so far in the first 4 matches. Very strong stuff from a secret box with that first pick. It was not a disastrous lead until that very end of that final stream, the break. Longest stream of the map, as well as the most space. So both players holding onto the stream, Hadaya just missing at the very end for that score.
I suppose both players gonna unleash their protect. Freed Mana, Hedayo going in hot and strong with the aim pick. 110k lead is the line to cross. And not gonna lie, well, I'm in like the group where maybe you should keep your picks on your where you can first pick it in a certain set rather than, you know, fight head on. But what do you think, Haba? Do you are you the guy to fight protect with protect, or is there like any other strategy you're cooking up if you were in this position?
I don't know. I think in a position like this, it would be less ideal. Like if it were a reading specialist pick or like something that you have a clear gap on your opponent on, I would be for it. But a map like this, you're going to be seeing overall fairly high accuracies, and if anything, it's going to be those early round nerves for Hidayo, as he finds a handful of breaks in this early beginning for a 25k lead on Box's side early.
Definitely not the best of start, especially when this map is very consistent in its difficulty. It is not mapped by fellow 108, it is custom mapped by Lynx. And this one, it's the whole 9 yards, it's the entire song, the entire chorus, the entire solo. So we will see some a very interesting tapping section in the middle, and the secret box looking to extend his lead after that miss from Hidayo.
And they still keep on coming, which is just disastrous if you are Hidayo making it to this point. But Box, 600 combo and growing, 70k lead and growing, is a big shocker for one's protect. It's just not traded this first PI, first gift spike section. The jumps still coming through, 240 BPM. And Box makes it through that first PI.
Looking very comfortable right now. It is Hidayo's protect, it is Hidayo's pick, but it is a secret box's map thus far, increasing the lead to a solid 115k. Hidayo has a lot of work cut out for him. Accuracy has returned, but it's the combo that is just struggling again and again.
Yeah, and this is a strong pick for Hidayo on paper, right? Of course, the Box of old, not as strong on aim. You know him more traditionally as a flow player, but he is new and revitalized post aim swap rework, and put in those aim chops, put in that aim work, holding on to the combo, finally finding that first miss, but it's still 99.75 accuracy. It's still a 165k score deficit. For all intents and purposes, this is done and dusted, but what a play from Box, getting that first set.
Indeed, but the question remains, can he maybe just kind of style it out and land somewhere above the 99.5% accuracy mark? We do know that he's not full combine anymore, but you know, let's see what he can do in this solo section. Hideo finding the miss now. This very weird finger control, but he's cruising. The act is actually increasing somehow.
Oh, there's a couple 100s there at the tail end of that stream. Kind of awkward wiggle there, but still it continues on. 200k and growing for Box. And what a show out here. I mean, we expected the mechanics to go in his favor, but this is a domination.
Actually, what's the highest PP score that you've seen thus far in this tournament? Because the Street Boss, he's at 555. He's farming.
This has to be it. I mean, I think the second highest was like maybe Jackson yesterday with his DT2 score, but this just blows it out of the park. 575 and growing for Box. Not gonna be quite a farm, but maybe 600.
580. There's not much time. 20 seconds to do it. Secret Box, can you reach for it? The combo is still climbing. It's just not fast enough, sadly. Last a few sliders into the spinner. It's not gonna be a 600, but I think that will stand as the highest PP play in this tournament thus far. And that will be the first set. A Secret Box will take it first.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking on what we were talking about at the beginning of the match, like, do you want to go protect versus protect? In that scenario, that works out great for Hideo, because now he doesn't pick it later and realize, oh no, wait, this isn't that great for me. So it becomes a little bit more well-rounded. He won't get jump scared in the future. He has a couple other picks to work off of.
Looking at the remaining selection, going for something a bit more. Oh, well, I was about to say something more double-edged would help to break the momentum, and he goes straight for Nomad for this map. It is very interesting, that's for sure. Very colorful patterning throughout.
Yeah, this Nomad for a Pocket map. If you know of Pocket, you know well of his tech style. Going to be very control forward. A little bit of finger control in there with the doubles, but big slider focus, slider velocity focus on some of those just straight line checks, as I call them, in the main dip spike.
This map is definitely not fun unstable, but we do know that Lazer has just that much more lenient slider and hits. But will that help? If you do not follow the slider, that is just not going to help after all.
For sure, that leniency is going to help. Of course, the removal of note lock. We haven't been able to see any major showcases of that because the players crushed DT2, or DT3, but in we go with Self-Destruct by Sakura Burst, mapped by Pocket. It's going to be a little bit chill in the early goings of this map. Going to be looking at around that 700 combo mark for that first diff spike, pending any disasters early on for these players.
Already starting off this slider, just kind of skiing across the screen, sliding throughout, and now into these very wacky overlaps. Everyone's still holding on, but again, that accuracy just makes all of the difference, and now the combo will too for Secret Box.
Yeah, second break for Hideo early on. Not what you want to see, but again, just getting it out of the way early. Plenty of time to build later on. This part of the map is easier, so you'd like to build your combo up during this point. That does mean Hideo has to do a little bit of work during these hard sections, but Secret Box still building up 99% accuracy, as has been commonplace in this match thus far.
Commonplace it will stay, at least for this downtime of the map, relatively. It's still quite tricky, but these players definitely not gonna struggle on any of these pairings. But things about to get real spicy once again. The stove will turn on and the heat will rise, going into the main div spike now.
And here we go with some of the more control-oriented sliders. You're going to be following through some of these awkward angles as Hadayo, unfortunately, finding that break is going to be traded by Box towards the halfway point of the div spike, but traded once again and already a 100k deficit again. It's that accuracy in question for Box, still 98 despite the break, looking so clean, following these sliders so precisely, is just only increasing this deficit as Box once again is up such a dramatic amount.
And we've only hit the 500,000 score mark. There is still half of the map left to be played, and a potential doubling of the lead is a real possibility. Hadayo needs to be very careful. He needs to soften the blow so he can get at least a chance in his pick to take the set.
Yeah, big rounded sliders, a little bit of finger control towards the tail end, but at this point for Hadayo it's about minimizing damage, right? Just building up some extra combo towards this late stage, some longer hold sliders here. Don't want to fall off quite yet. 500 combo, 600 for Box, still growing as we head into a handful more sliders to close out the map. Main dispike out of the way. Just don't falter now. The cut stream, so tricky, but Box 98 still.
Going to the ball slider, 780 combo, still climbing, following it throughout. How does this man not go the wrong way? A built-in GPS guiding him towards a beautiful 250k lead. The secret box looking to dominate in this first pick of Hadayo's, actually. Basically, technically, a breakpoint. And now he will have his own pick where he gets all of the advantage.
And immediately goes for Nomad too. I mean, this is pretty strategic. Hadayo, no slouch on these kind of mechanical streams, I suppose is the way to put it. Plenty of aim control in these streams, kind of a mid-range BPM for this Devious Panda map. So Secret Box, I mean, he was up 250k in the set. Might as well pick into something both you and your opponent would be vaguely comfortable on. Of course, a Secret Box is a flow specialist by comparison, but in terms of Hadayo's strength, this is a bit of an equalizer.
Hadayo does not need to equalize though, he needs more than that. He needs 257k of advantage. And I don't think a Secret Box is running a charity right now. Secret Box finding the first miss. Hadayo having the combo advantage this early on, but once again, accuracy is potentially king, especially when you find a miss later on. Bit of a misread there as well.
Yeah, still building now. Of course, it's all about the accuracy on the laser, and unfortunately, that is 99 once again for Box. You gotta have to get used to seeing that, I suppose. As every single one of these picks, he has just been so dominant on in the accuracy. The stack gonna take away that combo a little bit, but it's been traded by Hadayo already, and it just is only continuing this lead for Box on the set.
And just look at that massive accuracy difference. And we are in Lazer actually, Haba. So no not luck, none of those business, and Hadayo is still struggling. Potentially like 20 misses for Box and like even more for Hadayo if not luck still exists. But there we go, bit of a doubles coming in, 120k, a collective 370k score lead. He's sitting comfortably.
Yeah, massive for Box as we go into some of these back and forth patterns now. The big flow. Of course, I feel it redundant to say this is likely already a Box point, still holding on to 99, but what a showcase of that lack of note lock here throughout these overlapping patterns. Massive cuts and flow difficulty as both players try to shine their brightest. Box though holding on to that combo still, no breaks yet. And this accuracy is still just building. How does he do it?
And he's just continuing to do it. He's not gonna tell us the secret sauce, it's gonna stay hidden. And once again, the set will be taken by Secret Box. And now he will be the first one to pick in the third set and looking to score a blowout in this early on stage.
And so far, Secret Box has been dominant in every selection. No scores under 750k so far throughout these maps. And now back into his pick. I would imagine he starts to play ball in these hiddens as he picks the hidden 3 first. The Flake and Mof collab of Will Stetson's Hayuro Kande. A little bit of a brain rot song by Will Stetson made earlier in the year.
Yeah, the sound effects, you know, it's purely art. It's just something that AI cannot replicate, just pure human imagination and Igaku sound bites, but you know, the song, beautiful.
And this map as well, gonna be a kind of low techish focus with that hidden mod, of course. 2 massive strengths of Box, both the flow and that hidden modification that he's known for. Good luck in the chat. We're gonna get underway now with our first hidden pool slot.
Norton starting off with those wacky slider shapes back and forth, already catching Hideo off guard right now. Secret Box holding on tight.
Yeah, gonna be a similar style of flow to the last map. A handful of cut streams in here, a little bit more slider velocity as well. Plenty of slider shapes that you know and love with some of the Dorchados patterning. As once again, it's Box with that massive accuracy lead, 8% with the 99. Once again, following the sliders to a T, wiggle streams, no problem. Unfortunately, cannot say the same for Hadaya to this point.
Absolutely, this map is not an easy feat to hit. I understand Hideo completely, but a Secret Box painting like this map, like a canvas, 540 combat, still climbing. 0 miss, by the way, Hava.
Yeah, no breaks quite yet. And I don't know how he hits those wiggle streams. I mean, like, he doesn't even wiggle them. He just, like, accelerates throughout, like, accelerating straight line check. How's he do it? We are in the second half now. A couple of cross-screen aim checks, but it's all eyes on the Secret Box. Can he close out the FC? Big spacing change there, but still no balls for Box. 99 gotta be rebuilt shortly if we don't see any breaks, but this is a behemoth of a score.
Okay.
One of the hardest maps of the weekend from a gimmick perspective.
20 seconds. All he needs to do is to hold for 20 seconds. 98% accuracy, 430 PP. How is he farming on a hidden tree? Hits that stream, a secret box. What a performance. What a blowout.
Whoa.
538k lead.
1 million score. That's the first 1 million we've seen so far throughout this bracket stage of the tournament. 4 matches, that's the first 1 mil. What a show up from a secret box, and I feel like that's just a done set. I mean, like, Dio needs like a miracle in order to get this now. That's a 600k nearly lead.
That is quite the I have no clue. All secret box needs to do is to cross the 461,494 score mark. Quick maths, ladies and gentlemen, stay in school. But yeah, this is going to be very difficult for Hidayah. He needs to pray for a generational fumble from a secret box and a generational performance from himself.
Yeah, not only that, in order to get that performance, he has to basically get a Hard Rock FC on a tiebreaker custom. So that'll be that'll be fun with this Hard Rock 1 pick.
Not the best of start, but the hope is still there. The vision is still there, Haba. Hidayah, can he do it? Can he stage a comeback?
Oh, my hopes are not particularly high, but I believe in fun prevailing. He's the goat.
That's oh no, man, the accuracy difference already.
Yeah, Box is just so comfortable on the laser accuracy. Once again, it's 99 throughout these spacing changed bursts. The spaced quints and cut sliders still just completely in his favor as unfortunately Hidayah continuing to fall. Incredibly volatile flow map here, especially with some of these rhythm elements. The 1-6 are no slouch, and only make getting that better accuracy just as well.
Going to a bit of a 1-6 bird section here, in a bit of a flow as well. Secret Box still concocting such a beautiful potion with this aim. And no misses there. A bit of a rhythm change here, but it's still looking pretty good. 99% accuracy, looking very stable, Haba.
Yeah, this is a massive combo. I believe FC on this map is around 3k combo, so just about a third of the way there for Box with this big flow check, sliders, and the BPM change now in play. Gonna have to see if that makes any differences in the combo of Box. Still just holding on tight, so comfortable with these flow patterns playing.
Bit of a custom there, still climbing up and up. Habas, Secret Box, not looking down, still climbing the stairway to heaven. 1,300 combo on a tiebreaker. And not just a tiebreaker, it's tiebreaker with Hot Rock. And that's just pretty cool to say the least. It's the stream as well. And we are halfway into the map. Can he actually do it?
Yeah, this is unbelievable already. I mean, we were talking about in previous matches where the score difference was like 100k, and we'll be like, oh, that's like a solid score difference. Like 100k should be as far as a score lead goes on a map like this. And a Box is just crushing those expectations out of the water, getting 99% or near 99% on every map he's played today. 99.4 in this specific case for a Hard Rock flow tiebreaker. Just, this is unbelievable work, and I mean, if he closes out the FC here, I would think, I would like to say he gets his 600.
That would be crazy. That would be a statement for sure. But This last part is by far the hardest part of the match. Can he do it? A secret box. Everyone's watching you. Can you put on a show? Final part of the map right now. The 1-2's coming in. The stream's not a big problem. Some 1-6 here and there to spice things up. But the man no spice. The man can cook. The man is in the kitchen and he's not burning it down. 2,200 combo. It's still climbing. It's not going down. A secret box only going up. He does not dare to look down. He does not dare to look down on the mortals. For he is gone. What is he doing?
600 PP's been broached. Blanktap finally the breaks. No! That is such a tragic fall, but Secret Box has nothing to prove to us. He's already shown us that this pool is below him. He's crushed every map he's played in this pool. Well over 99 now, 99.5. I mean, it's still not over. He might still get a 600 at the tail end here. Final 10 seconds.
Come on!
It's 10 PP. Come on, give it to us.
Just a little stream.
Oh, not quite.
I don't think we'll reach. Yeah, man. But he does break his own record and gaining 592 PP with a 1 missed performance on a tiebreaker with Hot Rock. Good game and well played.
Yeah, what a showing from Box throughout this. I mean, 2 million score on the set, nearly only 12k off from that is just a next level performance. And I mean, we've been seeing over the past year as Box has well-rounded his game. He's gotten a couple more solo and duo tournament badges under his belt. And now it's going to be a really tough ask to go head-to-head with him on any map. But nevertheless, we're going to be transitioning now into the 13:30 match today. Other comms are in here, so going to be kicking it off with Dio and T1G as me and Blanktap head out of here.
Thank you, Hubba, and thank you, Blanktap, for that match. And hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm Dio. He's T1G, as introduced by Hubba, and we are bringing you the next match up here for Saturday, the round of 32 of Lazer Grand Arena 2025. This next upcoming match, Fedora Goose versus Kosharek. This is, I think, going to be a pretty solid matchup between these two players. Seed number 11 versus seed 22, but with a lot of very similar map placements across the qualifiers pool.
Yeah, taking a look at these guys' results in qualifiers shows that I think we can definitely anticipate this to be a pretty contested one. Good morning to you as well. It was two maps that I feel like really made the difference between these guys. A couple of the tapping picks in the qualifiers pool in the Nomad 2 and the DT2 saw much better performances from Fedora Goose than from Kosharek. But across the rest of the pool, somewhat similar results. So I'm excited to see what they can do in the match, because I think we're going to have likely a lot of super competitive picks, and it also kind of crystallizes our bans and protects maybe just a little, with there not being a huge amount of tapping in this pool, right? The Nomad 2 is kind of a techie stream map, so once you get past, the DT2 and DT3, there's not a whole lot in that regard left. So I'm very interested to see these guys competing on what this pool has to offer for them.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see my first casted match on this pool, honestly. And I think, as you said, with as few kind of pure speed maps in the pool or pure tapping maps in the pool as we have in this round of 32, round of 16 pool for LGA this year, I think it should end up being pretty close generally between the two of them. We do see the DT3 ban coming through from Kosharek and the DT2 Protect coming through from Fedora Goose, and Kosharek just hates seeing a man succeed. Goodbye to the song that I commissioned in Nomad 2. Thanks, bro. As we get also the Lazer mod and Hard Rock 3 bans for Fedora Goose alongside the I actually missed that Protect as it came through, but assuming the did you see the Protect for Kosharek actually?
I'm just hesitantly guessing that it was the DT2. I'm just hesitantly gonna guess that.
We'll guess together, chat.
He
I mean, the
is
DT2 Protect was
it.
for Fedora Goose, but for
Oh,
Koshirek,
for
I
Coaster
don't
I'm sorry.
remember.
In that case, wait. I will tell you in like 2 seconds. It was the Hidden 3.
Very nice.
So Kosterek with that, it's like the rounded hidden pick. So, against somebody who you feel is going to be favored on mechanics, take something that is the opposite end of the spectrum to pick for yourself. I'm a little sad about the flat by second. It feels like it's been getting banned out quite a bit. And it's such a sick map, especially with freeze frame on. That's one of the cool new Lazer mods, but unfortunately I don't think we're going to get to see it too much, because if you can't play it, you really can't play it, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those that requires a lot of practice, because it's something that's entirely different from anything any of these players have done on stable, right? And so if you're willing to put in the practice, then you have a very strong pick. But if you are not willing to really practice the reading on that map, it is going to be a bad time for you. We saw it once last night, and it was very, very cool. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more of it this weekend. Unfortunately, not in this match. And now, for the first pick, we get into, with no surprises to anyone, the DT2 first pick for Fedora Goose. Now, for anyone who is just joining us who didn't watch the last match, LGA this year has a slightly different format from your usual tournament matches. It's technically a best of 10. You play 3 sets of 2 maps each, and the first 3 sets victories wins. Set victories are determined by cumulative score. So whoever scores the most across 2 maps at a time gets a set victory. So the key in this format is picking maps that your opponent really can't play and that you are very, very strong on. And Kosterek definitely had a lot of struggles on some of the speed maps in the qualifiers, and Fedora Goose, on the other hand, looked very, very strong on both of the pure tapping maps and qualifiers. So I think something like this, 286, 287 BPM, AR 10.3 DT speed should be very, very good for Fedora Goose in this match.
And we'll get right into it and see if that ends up being accurate in the match itself. Of course, you can talk all you want on paper, but you still got to play out the picks and see how it goes. And so far, this is favoring Kosterek in the early stages, up by 3% accuracy already and holding combo, whereas Fedora Goose has broken a couple times early on. And we'll see if that trend continues through the match. It's a little bit of cheese, I feel, from both of these players to hit some of these patterns, as you see a whole bunch of act dropped on both sides. But Fedora Goose just continuously breaking here in the first third of this map, really not starting off the way he would have liked. Protected map, first pick, and down by 73,000 points already is kind of crazy to my eye, right? Down in every way you can be down as Fedora Goose so far. Kosterek just having his way with this map and gonna have a huge advantage at this rate heading into the second half of the pick. He's already up by 100,000 points, Dio.
Yeah, and 100,000 points in Lazer scoring is quite a decent margin. I mean, we've seen a lot of higher margin victories, of course, in this format, but the way Lazer scoring works, your score floor is just a lot higher because combo bonus doesn't matter as much as it does in stable. It's capped, I believe, at a certain number. And so past a certain point, you don't just keep getting infinitely higher score for higher combo. You tap out at some point, which means 100k advantage here for Kosterek is actually massive. Now, his accuracy has finally dropped down a little bit closer to Fedora Goose's. Fedora Goose not really recovering act, but Kosterek dropping down a little bit. And even with that, it's still a 125,000 score lead right now for Kosterek, and Fedora Goose really needs to just pop off in the ending here and get as much combo as possible, because that is the difference maker right now, is that big string of held combo earlier on in the map for Kosterek. And unfortunately for Fedora Goose, it is not working out whatsoever. Down 170k now with about 1:15 left to go in the map.
Yeah, this is so far one of the most brutally one-sided maps I've seen in the several matches that I've watched in this tournament, and it's going to be in the favor of the player who did not pick this, who did not protect this. Fedora Goose just not having the time that he would have expected, or really any of us would have expected on this map. We do finally see some breaks here from Kosterek coming into the ending, With about 30 seconds left in the map, though, that leads 200k, and generally speaking, on most types of maps, 200k is pretty much not comebackable, for want of a better word, because the gaps in general with the Lazer score floor being as high as it is are just often not this big. 193k in what is effectively a breakpoint is a gigantic margin for Kosirek here, and that's not Kosirek at all. They're in the wrong slots. That makes a lot more sense. So that was Fedora Goose the whole time. I was wondering, I was going to ask, and I was like, no, we have everybody experienced in all of the positions. Surely that would not be the case, but that was indeed the case. So that was Fedora Goose the whole time, winning his own protected first pick by almost 200,000 points, and that makes a lot more sense than the way that we were talking about it previously. So you pick the binary skill set that you protected, and you win it by 200k, and you take a huge lead into map 2 of set 1. All right, everything makes a lot more sense now.
That makes so much more sense, but that was going to be a massive breakpoint. Instead, it's just a massive one-sided victory for Fedora Goose, which, yeah, makes perfect sense. And again, 193k is absolutely huge, right? That is something. That is something for the first map of the match. As we get the scores fixed up here. There we go. Correct score difference now in place for both players. And now we get into DT1 Hole Dwelling by Kikuo. This is the... hesitate to call it DT. It's more like rate change because it is not actually 1.5x on this map. It is, I believe, 1.2? No, 1.35 on this map. Kind of previously 130, but much higher BPM. I think 260 after the rate change. AR 10.3, so pretty similar to a normal DT map in terms of approach rate and reading. Just that this map is a little bit gimmicky in terms of how it presents the aim. It's a lot of kind of single directional aim moving across the map, which might not make sense right now, but will make sense as we see more of the map come out.
Yeah, this is very much a concept that's like you'll understand once you watch it. It's vertical jumps, but trending left and then trending right, which you can watch out for, and you'll see very easily already. In fact, you can see what's happening with the concept of this pick. This is an interesting one for me. Kosirek not picking his protects here, which is something we've seen a lot of players doing, is both picking their protects in the first set. Down by 200k almost, maybe just feels that it's not worth wasting that pick here because he's probably not bringing 200k back. So kind of throwing up a little bit of a Hail Mary with a pick that perhaps is a little less optimal. Either that, or he had chosen... I can't imagine that Hidden 3 was chosen as like a ban type of protect, you know? So I kind of do think it's the former situation. Since your opponent can't pick your protect, so like it kind of functions as a ban if you want it to. But I think here it's just let's pick this instead. And both players having a little trouble earlier on, a couple of initial misses, and the jumps are just not easy, man. It's very consistently challenging aim patterns.
Yeah, I think one other thing on Hidden in particular, right, just with the way mod multipliers work, you have a much better chance of making up a large score gap with a larger mod multiplier, right? That 193k on DT2. Let's just see if
he is seeing, chat. I'm not entirely sure what he is seeing, but he's gonna see something. Also, this is like kind of one of the harder parts of the map that we get into, with these slightly awkward elongated sliders, with some triples thrown in as well. This can be tricky for players. We've seen plenty of combo breaks in this section in previous matches where this map was played. Here, though, both guys having a pretty reasonable time. You did see one miss from Fedora Goose, another one there. I don't know. These sliders are just a little awkward. Also, I don't know what the feedback is actually like in terms of this hit sounding, because it sounds a little weird in the client, but obviously this is like the custom hit sounding versus skin hit sounds. So not sure how that plays for the guys in reality. It is Kosirek taking a bit of a lead on the map, but 20,000, as we said, it's tough to bring back 193k, and he's got a lot of work to do, and I don't think it's really going to be feasible.
No, unfortunately, probably not. What I was going to say earlier, and my point kind of ties in well with how you ended that, is it's a lot easier to bring back a large score lead on a mechanics map where you're typically going to score higher and with a higher mod multiplier. On Hidden, for example, that 193k that we have is a 170k score gap. I don't know if you make that up on Hidden 3, just because I don't know if you score high enough to make up that kind of a gap on the Hidden 3, right? And so with more gimmicky maps like that, it tends to be better to kind of counterpick with mechanics, because there can be a large score gap, unless there's such a huge gap on gimmick, for example, on truly low approach rate structural reading, that your opponent just can't play the map at all, right? I think that's the one other skill set where you can kind of theoretically counterpick mechanics with gimmick in this kind of cumulative score format. So I do think this pick makes sense on paper, and Kozirek is winning it, right? Is set to win it with 30 seconds left in the map and a 15k score lead. No big combo on Fedora Goose. So is going to win the point, but not going to win the set due to that higher score difference on the first map for Fedora Goose. Fedora Goose will go up 1-0 in the set score. 1-1 in maps, but much higher cumulative score difference for Fedora Goose.
Yeah, pretty comfy based on the margin of victory on that first pick. Even losing the second map by a small amount, he still wins it by 181k. And that's, I think, a little bit in this format the advantage of having first pick in a given set, especially if you have a map that you are super, super comfortable with versus your opponent. As you talked about, those mechanics maps, the gaps just trend toward being larger than on other types of maps. So if you're able to pick a tapping map that your opponent isn't very good at, well, you give yourself near 200,000 point lead. You're probably not going to lose that set. It's very, very hard because there are just not that many other skill sets like that, as you mentioned. So now we're going to go into set 2. Fedora Goose up 1-0, but set 2, Kozirek will have first pick. So now I think is the time that you probably go into your own protect. I think you go into the Hidden 3 here. Even if the gap isn't as big, you are still the one with the lead going into the second map of that mini set. Indeed, it's going to be that Hidden 3. And you put the onus on your opponent to try to come back, assuming you win your own pick. The first pick advantage per set, I think, is pretty meaningful.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with the Hidden 3 and everything you talked about there. And it does feel like a solid pick just generally for Kozirek. Pretty solid in-control player, pretty solid gimmick player from originally like 4-digit tournaments, more recently tournaments like I believe 3-digit World Cup from last year or earlier this year. I don't exactly remember. But generally very solid tournament player overall for Kozirek, and those types of players, especially in lower rank ranges, tend to be a lot better at gimmicky maps. That still holds true in this case as well. Not necessarily a low AR reading demon, but very solid alt player, very solid hidden player for Kozirek. So no troubles at all with this pick as we get into kind of a mixed bag, right? It is 170 BPM flow aim control mixed with some kind of funky sliders and a little bit of stack overlap reading with changing timing on some of those patterns as well. Some kind of stop and go stuff where it's very easy to over tap. And of course, a ton of slider aim as we see during this first KI time.
This is one of my favorite maps in the pool stylistically. It just has so much to offer and really challenges the players in consistently, unique ways. Where, as you said, you have the finger control, you have the aim control, you have the slider aim as well. It really throws a lot your way. And you can see you can see a lot of things about this. We're already halfway through. The players having a fair amount of difficulty, right? Neither guy able to establish a ton of combo in the early goings. And it's also going to give us an idea both of the Lazer score floor, because these scores are way higher than you would normally see on a Score V2 tournament at this point in the map. I don't think you'd be seeing 330, 350k based on how many breaks they've had.
It'd be like 150k.
Yeah, this would be half of these scores. But it's also going to give you an idea of how much smaller the gaps are between players when the scores are just lower in general. Even though Kozirek is outperforming by a significant margin in AC and has had several bigger combos, he's only up by 15k, and that's going to shrink a little bit there as well. So this it kind of illuminates a lot of things about this setup of this style of tournament, and it does look like Kozirek's going to pull away here a little bit in the last stages, though. He's up to 40k lead, even without much of a combo to speak of right now. That accuracy doing a lot of work for him.
finally starting to, as you said, pull away in the score for Koshirek at the end here. Bit more of an AC lead, now up to 3% as opposed to like 1% earlier on. And not too much of a combo lead here at the end of the map, but that AC difference is going to do some major work. 74k. And you can see there why you don't necessarily want to counter protect for protect as you would in a normal tournament setting, right? That kind of score difference just wasn't going to cut it against the score difference that Fedora Goose generated on the DT2. So very solid move there from Koshirek to not pick the protect on the first set here. Save it for the second set in order to get a solid score lead. 74k is a big score lead, right? That's a solid play for Koshirek. And now we get Fedora Goose's next pick, what he wants to either kind of throw away or try to counter with. I do think the best pick left in the pool for Fedora Goose is this Nomad 1. So potentially just trying to counter pick in this one and pull back the score lead to win the set overall, make it quick. Because I think this is probably the best map left in the pool for him right now.
I do think I agree. However, I have one thought experiment here. AIM players are nerfed on laser scoring because accuracy plays such a large role. It's a bigger percentage of the score compared to Score V2, where it's, you know, a little more favored toward combo.
Yeah.
So you are punished less for being the worst AIM player as long as you can still keep decent accuracy on laser scoring. I don't know if that will actually matter in this setting. We will have to see.
Yeah, we'll see.
7.7 star AIM, so we'll have to find out what happens. But I do feel like there might be something to be said for that, where tapping players are buffed on laser scoring, but AIM players are nerfed on laser scoring.
I think you're definitely onto something here. I don't know how much it'll matter on this map in particular, as we already see a miss aim come through for Fedora Goose and a couple of act drops come through for Koshirek. And right now the combo is winning out despite a 1% act lead for Fedora Goose, up at 98.3 to the 97 of Koshirek. But there's a slider break for Koshirek, and now the accuracy should start to play a bit more of a role here for Fedora Goose. And especially, I think, on a map like this that is 240 BPM, which is decently fast, right? That's the same BPM as the DT3 that Koshirek banned out. With a couple of tapping sections, I mean, there's a few streamier parts in this map, especially about, it's either 2/3 or 3/4 of the way in. You get this really big tapping section in this map that can really tank accuracy if you do not have the speed for it. So I think a pick like this is very solid for Fedora Goose, specifically because of that tapping requirement. Because like you said, Aaron, the aim is just not quite as important. It will still matter. The combo does still matter and contribute to score. That's what's keeping it close right now. But I don't know if the accuracy will matter more or enough to bring the score far enough over to Fedora Goose's side. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, definitely on the lookout for that guitar solo section, because the mapping really kind of changes up a bit stylistically there. Obviously, it's a streamy section, but it also has kind of awkward flow patterns and some finger control rhythm changes with, I think there's a little bit of 1/3 as well as, kind of standard 1/2, 1 and 1/4 rhythms. So it throws a little bit of a curveball at you in terms of what the rest of the map is like. 20k score lead for Fedora is all he's able to muster up so far, despite about 1.5% accuracy and a 160 combo lead. But that's just not all that meaningful as of yet. Also, with this being 4.5 minutes long, right? It's a lot of time for that score to try to build. Let's see, though. Both these players looking pretty comfortable on the aim. No notable misses. So we're going to come into that section of the map, and it's going to be big. And there's the break from Koshirek. The instant you get a little bit of tapping, we go to anything other than just aim, and he instantly breaks. And now things are going to get interesting as we get into that tapping section of the map.
And this is 99.4 for Fedora Goose with 1k combo going into this speedier section of the map now. It should start up soon. I swear it exists.
It's the guitar
I'm
solo
not
right
making
after
things
this.
up. I swear it does.
Here we go.
All right. Both players dropping the combo. So now it is just the accuracy that's going to matter here for a little bit. couple of 1/3, a couple of misses for both of them, and actually more axe drops coming through for Fedora Goose, down to 98 points. Actually, that's 98.9, so still holding pretty solid accuracy, but it's not that big of a drop for Kosherek either. And this is now 60k. It is coming down towards Kosherek, but this is dangerous territory. It was only a 74k score lead for Kosherek after his pick on the protected Hidden 3. So if this gets any worse for Kosherek, it can be very, very difficult to come back from. We still have almost a minute left, and it's now to 65k, 66k for Fedora Goose. If he can hold on just a little bit longer, this could actually bring this score lead back. And there's another miss to come through for Kosherek. That is not the timing you want to see that miss on, but there goes Fedora Goose as well. Is it going to be enough? Just barely, I think, to hold on. Another miss comes through for Kosherek. It's now 71k, less than 3,000 points to go for Fedora Goose. Can he just hold on a little bit longer, keep the accuracy intact? If there's any misses at all from Kosherek, this will go over. We have 15 seconds left on the clock. Kosherek shouting, "Stop the clock," as he just barely ekes out the
spinner,
win.
though.
Maybe it's spin to win. Maybe it's spin to win. I don't know if there's going to be enough. No, Kosherek is outspinning just a little bit more. And that will give the point for the set to Kosherek, but by only 3,000 points, which is a little close for comfort, let's say.
Very, very close to coming. That was actually terrifyingly close. Any one miss from Fedora Goose turned into a hit circle. You know, if he finds literally the smallest bit of combo anywhere in that map, he's able to build a big enough advantage on his own map to bring the gap back. But unfortunately, Kosherek built up just a bit of an advantage out of the Hidden 3, just enough to hold on. I don't know that you're gonna see a set much closer than that one. 3,000 points. I'd have to go back and double check, but that's about as close as it's ever gonna get. And that's the nature of this format, man. That's the excitement that can happen when it comes right down to the last seconds. The smallest little bit of combo can matter the most, and it ties this thing up at one set apiece. Headed into set 3, Fedora Goose will have the first pick. You know, you can take a little of positivity away from the fact that he did, you know, have a great score on the Nomad 1 and did win that map itself by a decent margin, but still lost the set, and we just kind of have a blank slate now.
We'll also say thank you to Lynx for the custom map there. Go check out this map, because that was that gave us some cinema. That was real cool. And now we get into another one of these custom maps for LGA this week. S Unfolding by Sven Noon. This is the pick now for Fedora Goose. Mapped by Bob. This is kind of rhythm alt with... It is 182 BPM, but it does still feel like an alt map. It's mostly aim control, finger control, and a little bit of reading in this map, which makes it very difficult. And again, if you are a tapping player, finger control maps like this can be solid for you, especially in terms of accuracy, which, as we've seen, is pretty important in laser scoring. So we'll see how well both of these players are able to do on something a lot more gimmicky like this. I think this is the least conventional map that we have seen so far in this match.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we did see the Hidden 3, which is a little non-conventional, but this, you know, pushes the boundaries quite a bit farther than that map did, and it's going to challenge the players in a brand new way. And it is going to start off with Kosherek building a decent-sized accuracy advantage through the first few hundred combo. About a third of the way through, and was up by 2%. That's dropped now a little bit to about 0.6%, but it's still giving him just a tiny lead. There's a break from Fedora Goose as well, right about at the halfway mark, and Kosherek gonna now build a little bit more comfortable of a lead, in fact, out to just about 50,000 points, right like that. That accuracy still staying up there pretty strong, just shy of 98 for Kosherek, doing a really great job of navigating this pick, whereas Fedora Goose falling just a little bit farther, has had a couple of breaks in the accuracy down just a tad. And 100k, again, 100k is a pretty big, though not necessarily insurmountable, but pretty big score lead to take out of a pick, especially when it was your opponent. So this one not going the way of Fedora Goose at all. This is a really sick score from Kosherek, though, I gotta say.
Yeah, this is a very, very good score from Kosherek right now, who is just eating this map for breakfast, man. This is not looking good for Fedora Goose, as Kosherek is absolutely dominating this map right now. There's not a lot else you can say. He's still on the full combo, right? This is just absolute domination from Kosherek, and clutching out the full combo on this pool is next level consistency. That is a massive score for Kosherek, who now is up 175,000 points after his opponent's pick on the third set here. One thing you can do, now I'm not saying that you should throw, but one thing you can do is pick a map that you are not as comfortable on. Pick a map that you're not as good on, that you think your opponent might win, but by a small amount, because you already have this massive score lead. So you can save better picks for yourself for later on into the match. You can intentionally pick a map that is bad for you here in order to effectively remove picks from the pool for your opponent and preserve your own picks at the same time.
Yeah, the strategy of this format is really fascinating in that way. The things you can do with your selections based on the situation are very, very interesting to consider when compared to kind of a traditional pick strategy. It is going to be a Hard Rock 2 here for Kosherek as the pick, so we are going to go the precision aim Hard Rock map. A lot of slider aim and some awkward linear aim patterns in this one as well on CS, I want to say 7.8, if that is. Yes, CS 7.8, so very, very small circles. We're going to get some Osu for ants, as we so lovingly refer to it. And this was a skill set that Kosherek did pretty well on in the qualifiers, did fairly well on both Hard Rocks, so perhaps something that he's solid at regardless, but we'll see what the performances end up looking like, as Fedora Goose has to somehow magically make up 175,000 points on his opponent's pick here, and it's going to be hard to tell, I think, unless somebody really bombs this, whether they're using a strategy like you're talking about, but regardless, Kosherek picking from a very safe position with that much of an advantage.
Yeah, and even then, it doesn't have to be a map that you're, going to bomb or do really terribly on, but maybe just something that you win by a couple of thousand points instead of by 100,000 points, right? Even picks like that, removing them from the pool, can be really, really solid here. You don't need to pick something that's really good for you in this spot. So Kosherek, like you said, picking with a lot of free reign over the pool. Very comfortable position to be in right now. Still ahead in this map, though, by about 15-20k, so overall still doing pretty solidly for himself here. Better accuracy by a little bit, about the same combo right now as well. Similar combo strings for both of these players, maybe a little bit better for Kosherek so far in this map. Fedora Goose still doing all right in this map as well. I think the real question for me, because I don't have too many questions about how this set is going to go, and at this point in this map, it feels like it almost doesn't matter a little bit. I know that's a little weird to say, but it feels like this map doesn't really matter, where Kosherek is now up 45, 50k and already up 175k. It's not like you get extra points for winning the set by, a certain margin. So my question now is just, where does Fedora Goose go next, right? We have one more set basically for Fedora Goose before we get into actually two more sets. So where do you go next? Do you go to the original? Do you go into the Hard Rock 1, which is more of kind of a tiebreaker-ish map? I don't know that you really want to go for Hidden 1 or 2, but Fedora Goose has had some solid hidden scores in the qualifiers, so maybe you dip into the hiddens here as Fedora Goose. Yes, Kosherek did have some good scores in the qualifiers on hidden, but Fedora Goose was not bad on those either, and I think outscored Kosherek on a couple of those maps in the qualifiers.
I think for me, if you're comfortable with the hidden aspect of Hidden 1, I think you might look into that, with it being another aim map. Fedora Goose looked pretty solid on the Nomad one. Didn't win the set, but almost brought it back thanks to that map. So if you're comfy with, that style of aim, you maybe run the hidden one if you're him. Otherwise, I think it's probably got to be the hard rock one. That being said, it's going to be Kosierek's first pick in the next set, right? So regardless, he's going to be able to put himself in a good position, that's essentially match point down for Fedora Goose if he can win this next map with the first pick in set 4. Up 2-1, first pick. Pretty reasonable place to be if you have any sort of decent pick remaining for yourself. So that's going to be the other question. Do you maybe continue, picking the non-traditional stuff? You've gotten the Hidden 3, you've gotten the Hard Rock 2, maybe you go something like the Nomad 4 or the Hidden 2 here for Kosierek to try to get a lead on another gimmicky map to take into the potentially last pick of this entire match. We'll find
Just
out.
have to see. Yeah, we'll find out soon enough. I feel like for Kosierek, the Nomad 4 looks good. Something like the Hidden 2 could be solid as well. It is just going to be the Nomad 4, which no real surprises there. I think if you're going to have any first pick to try and just close out the match here for Kosierek, it should be the Nomad 4. Just go into the tech as much as possible and try to generate as large of a score lead as you can. That said, that Hard Rock 2 ended up being a very, very good pick for Kosierek. So we'll see if that ends up being maybe a wasted pick, or if Kosierek is able to close it out with the Nomad 4 or potentially something else later on down the line. Maybe the original, that map also being mostly tech, not quite as just slider tech forward as this Nomad 4, but still mostly tech, mechanics tech. This one, of course, very, very slider heavy. Tons of very easy places to miss slider ends and tons of very easy places to slider break in this map. Not as much on the finger control and aim control, though it does still play a part.
And this is going to be an interesting one because this is, again, the type of map where often you won't see huge gaps because once it gets into the diff spikes, it can be really challenging to hold a combo. And so both players can frequently end up with relatively lower scores. But at the same time, if somebody has a crazy pop-off, it's a big thing because it is so challenging to have a big pop-off with how difficult this is. If you hit like one of the diff spikes in their entirety, you put yourself in a really good spot. Both the guys broke on the exact same combo here, so it's going to be pretty dead even for now. Slight accuracy lead to Kosierek, but it's building, and we're going to get into the first drop of the song here, and I think it's going to tell us a lot about whether or not Kosierek can build up enough of a lead to feel comfortable going into the next pick from Fedora Goose, or whether it's going to hang in the balance for the possible last map here. As we build and build some more, things are going to get very interesting in this one once the map comes in. But what direction will they go is going to be the question, and here it comes. Who is poised to take the lead in these challenging slider patterns? It's going to be the instant break from Fedora Goose. Not what you want to see at all if you're him trying to bring this back.
Yeah, and Kosierek now holding on to the combo advantage, holding on to about a % accuracy lead as well. And that extra combo lead is going to continue to help build so long as he can hold, and the more misses come through for Fedora Goose, right? Combo doesn't matter quite as much, but when you have high combo, when you've hit that scoring cap, that score bonus cap from high combo, it's really, really nice to just continue building what is now a pretty massive score lead on this map. I mean, we are only 2/3 of the way into this one, and already over 100,000 score lead for Kosierek, 800 combo to 15 for Fedora Goose, with almost a 3% accuracy lead to boot. And this is an absolutely massive score lead now for Kosierek. Seems like the Hard Rock 2 will not go to waste, as this Nomad 4 looking similarly dominant as the last few maps in a row for Kosierek.
That dude is playing some solid Osu right now. What more can you say? We've seen several players miss that last pattern right before the slow part, and he managed to hold, so he has this large and almost 1,000 combo coming into the build-up to the final PI time of the map. And really, there's not much you can do here for Fedora Goose except just try to do your best at, maybe squeaking out a little bit of extra score in the ending to try and make this a less insurmountable score. There is a break from Kosierek in the build-up, So maybe that lead can be tempered just a little bit, but we're still looking upwards of 150,000 score going into the next pick. That's going to be a brutal margin to try to bring back. But Orgus needs to FC this entire ending to get this into playable territory for the next map. And we'll see if he can do that on these really challenging, like, awkward sliders. The circular sliders into full horizontal sliders can be so tricky, but both these guys navigating it well. And 145k, so we did manage to make this a little more doable. As we come into the very ending, it's going to be Kosherek taking this point. It's going to be by 145,000. It was 170k at one point. So Fedorgus did manage to temper that a little bit, but 144k is still practically insurmountable. I got to think that's very hard to think about bringing that one back.
That's real tough. And I think you just have... I think it's just the Hard Rock one or the Hidden one here for Fedora Goose, right? Which of those is going to give you a bigger score lead? And I think the answer really has to be whatever you can just hold combo on with Hayak the longest. I know that sounds obvious, right? But like, there are some maps where you can win the point, but because you are less bad than your opponent, I don't think you can pick that sort of map here. You need to pick whatever you are most comfortable on, whatever you are going to get your highest score on, even if you're not sure about how good the opponent is, right? I think the only exception there is if you are so good on Hidden 2, you FC basically every time, and your opponent is not going to do super well. But it is going to be the Hidden one here for Fedora Goose, hoping to bring this back from match point, needing 145,000 points in his favor on this map to stay alive in this tournament. Reminder, round of 32 is single elimination alongside the round of 16 this weekend. So whoever loses here is just out of the tournament entirely. They do not get another chance. So Fedora Goose here, this is potentially his last map unless he can pull it back and win the set on this Hidden one.
And, you know, we did see Fedora Goose put up a really impressive score on the Nomad 1 a bit ago, where he almost pulled out that second set, winning that map by nearly 70 or right around 70,000 points, 71k. The problem is he has to double that margin, right? If you think about how much Fedora Goose won the Nomad 1 by, he has to double that gap on a map that's a minute and a half shorter and doesn't really have as much of the tapping elements to it either, which were where Kosherek found several of his breaks in that pick. This one is a lot more into just pure Hidden 1 aim. So if Kosherek struggles with the awkward aim, then it could be doable, but man, oh man, it's a tough ask. It is a couple early breaks there from Kosherek. He is starting off, falling behind a little bit early on, 3% accuracy down and 100 combo down already. So if it was ever doable, it sort of feels like it might be now, but 144k, man, I just keep looking at that margin, thinking I don't know how doable this is regardless of how poorly your opponent might play a pick.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty tough, but I mean, you are already up, right? We're a third of the way in, about a little less than a third of the way in, actually. And Fedora Goose is already up 50k, right? So you're on track right now. He is on track right now to hitting that 145k target that he needs to stay alive. The question is, can he keep this pace up throughout the rest of the map? Because so far, what it's taken to be on pace is FCing everything in the map so far for Fedora Goose, and also a few misses for Kosherek at the same time. So you gotta hope that you can hold on to that full combo as long as possible for Fedora Goose. You also have to hope that Kosherek finds some more misses here. And so far, after a couple of early struggles, Kosherek has looked pretty good. He's looked a lot more consistent. He's looked like he's found his footing on this map, to maybe pull a little pun with the giant shoes in the background. I don't know. There's finally a miss for Fedora Goose, and now Kosherek is going to start to pull this score lead back. It was up to almost 90k there for Fedora Goose, but Kosherek now pulling this back extremely quickly down to 70k already under that mark, and continuing to hold this big combo for Kosherek. He is now finally finding a break, but that was significant damage done. And with only a minute left and 150 combo on Fedora Goose, I don't know if he's going to be able to pull it off. There's another miss to come through, and I think that might be the final nail in the coffin here. Only 58k score in his favor, and 50 seconds left on the clock. No buzzer beaters this time around, I don't think.
No, that last second full court heave, I think, is going to fall a little bit short here for Fedora Goose. It looked like it might be doable there for a little while at the start, where he built up that 80, 90k lead. But okay, well, now he has just completely fallen apart, unfortunately, on this ending. Kosirek not having a great time here either. But look at the entire score lead just vanished. So it's not even gonna appear like it was a comeback of any sort, unfortunately, for Fedora Goose. And it is gonna be Kosirek, man. Very impressive performance by the lower seeded player here. Number 22 seed up against 11th seeded Fedora Goose, but he's gonna take him down once all is said and done by a set score of 3-1. After that first set, after he got that big loss on the DT2 out of the way, Kosirek really found his footing in this match and just never let it go. Ends up, in fact, winning this pick by just about 5,000 score. Just had a little insult to injury there, unfortunately, for Fedora Goose, who had a 90k lead at one point in this map. To end up losing it is a testament to how well Kosirek was able to come back, not just in this map, but in this match in general, and a well-earned victory for him as he advances onward to round of 16. He gets a date with Atkins, Dio, for his trouble, who looked really, really good last night.
Yeah, that's gonna be a rough match. I will say also for Fedora Goose, definitely a couple of really solid maps in that match. Unfortunately for him, I think Kosirek just looked too good. Out of the last 6 maps that were played, Kosirek won 5 of them. He won 6 of 8 maps total in that match. So even if you're going by normal best of 11, Kosirek also would have won 6-2 in this match. So regardless of whether you're using the cumulative scoring method that we have here, or whether you're using a traditional tournament format, that is a solid, pretty dominant win for Kosirek, who by the end of this match looked nigh untouchable in the set format that we have here in LGA. So fantastic showing from him in this one.
Was indeed a very good performance from Kosirek. Does eliminate Fedora Goose, but it gives us the opportunity now to move onward to our next match of the day. It is the number 3 seed versus number 30 seed here in the tournament. The artist formerly known as Welter. I will be calling him Welter the entire time. His name is now Lexu3S. I don't really know what the meaning of that exactly is. Somebody can
as opposed to Lexu2S, the other Russian player. Yeah.
And we're just collabing usernames to make ourselves as impossible to figure out who's who as possible. On the other side, it's Trumpetino69, Swedish player, seeded number 30 here, which is a much more distinguishable username, I dare say. But a big seed mismatch, 3 versus 30. On paper, you're expecting Walter to have a very good time in this one. He's been playing incredibly well lately. And by lately, I mean for like the last year and a half now. Going back to, it feels like late 2023, he's really been on a great run. And continuing it here, seeding 3rd in this tournament is no joke.
Yeah, Welter started to really impress me in open rank tournaments back in TATHC, if anybody else remembers that tournament. That tournament Appreciation Team Hybrid Cup. That tournament was awesome.
The tournament has the 6th badge. Like, that has one of my favorite badges in the entire tournament scene.
That tournament was also just very... By the way, I think we can kind of forego talking about this map too much, as the score lead is 130k, and there's not much combo, unfortunately, for Trumpetino on this map. This is also Welter's first pick, so we won't be talking too much about what's going on in this map. And once we get the... actually, I'll go over the bans and protects here while we have a minute. Trumpetino's bans Hard Rock 3, Hard Rock 1, protecting the Double Time 3. Is that correct? That maybe is the... maybe protecting the Double Time 3.
Sure
Welter, meanwhile,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if the protects are backward, but they're in the correct order as per pick ban order, so I think that's correct. Anyway, Welter banning out the Lazer mod, Flat by Second, and DT2. So a little surprising there. I think Welter generally is a solid DT player, but I think against Trumpetino it makes sense. As well, the double Hard Rock bans against Welter make a lot of sense, with the Hard Rock 2 protect also coming through. Welter is an extremely strong Hard Rock player. And to continue our conversation from earlier, yeah, TITHC was the first time where he really impressed me in like open rank tournament play. And then recently I hosted a tournament that had a 9.5-star grand finals pool in a 1v1 tournament. And he beat Nineric to win that tournament in grand finals. He beat Secret Box and Nineric to win that tournament. So he has looked very, very good recently, even on very high skill cap maps.
The skill set breadth has really impressed me as well. A player who I kind of saw like some of his more gimmicky plays on kind of like flow tech hidden types of things initially, and it feels like he's really expanded that out to be good at, like you said, like the skill cap stuff even against Nineric. So somebody who's good at a lot of different things. Trumpetino here, going to go into his first pick of this match, down 133k. He's going to opt into DT3 though, and this is that strategy that we were kind of discussing back and forth. You protect this map, you come into your first pick down 133k, but you think that you can make up that 133k with this map, so you go for it here. We'll see if the strategy works out rather than preserving the protected map for a time when you're not down by quite this big margin. I was going to talk about Trumpetino a little bit because not a ton of standout scores in the qualifiers except for the DT2 where he was 11th. So clearly a player who's comfortable on some of the tapping stuff. Also 4th on the Lazer mod in the qualifiers. Now that was a very different Lazer mod than we have in this pool, but it's interesting to see players who are super good at the Lazer mods kind of leveraging that to their advantage in the qualifiers and potentially in the bracket as well. This though, it's just pure speedy tapping stamina for you. It's a Nomad 2-esque type of pick here. What BPM does this go to with the raid edit? This is
243.
Like. It's 242 BPM.
Yeah. You can see better accuracy right now for Trumpetino. Full combo still intact for both players, so no big lead at the moment. Just a little under 10k here for Trumpetino, as we will continue to get some solid scores for both of these players. That said, if you are Trumpetino, now you're halfway through. Your opponent's still holding a full combo. You only have a 10k score lead. This was your protected pick, and it may end up going to waste if Welter does not find a break here very soon, because there's only so much more score left that you can possibly get. You need that 133k score lead, and now it seems like Welter just is unfazed, will not be denied the win on this set, even in spite of the protected pick for Trumpetino, as we get now above about 800k, and that's really where the score lead stops being tenable for Trumpetino. So unfortunately, I think with how this has shaped up at the end here, it's just not going to be enough. There is a break there at the end and a big drop for Welter as well. It goes over very quickly. Is there enough time? It's not going to be enough. It is close. It is extremely close, but it is not going to be enough. Needed the break at about 850k or so for that to go over Trumpetino's way. But FC for Trumpetino, it's a great score. It's just unfortunately not enough to bring back the score difference from that Nomad 1.
Can we just talk about the fact that the score lead went from like 10k to 100k in like less than 10 seconds on that ending?
And the ending of a map with a full combo will do that to you, yeah.
That was insane.
It goes fast.
That was wild. So this is the strategy talk here, right? Trumpetino just won his protect by like 90,000 points, and it was still wasted because he was down by so much coming into that. So he's going to have first pick in the next set. He could have gone up by, assuming the exact same thing happened, which you can't promise that will. Assuming the exact same thing happened, he could have first picked this in the next set and taken 100k lead into Welter's pick in the second set by saving the protect. Whether or not that makes a difference in the outcome of the entire match, there's no real way of knowing. But strategically speaking, it kind of feels like he wasted his protect there. Despite winning it by that giant margin, it was irrelevant because he came into it with such a big deficit. So kind of a shame about how that went. Despite how big a win it was, it's not going to matter in the grand scheme of things. And he says, I'm out of picks, opting into the Nomad 4 here. Not what you want to see when the player's only selected one map so far.
No, that is not what you want to see this early on into a match. Come on, man. Yeah, unfortunately, I think I kind of have to agree with you there. It's like, if you are down that much, if you're not sure you're going to win by a large margin, right? Like, yes, an FC is amazing from Trumpetino. That was an awesome score. But you know Welter is going to do well on that map, right? So I feel like you can kind of predict that he will get at least close to an FC, which is what happened, if not FC himself. And really, that's kind of a waste of a protect, unfortunately, for Trumpetino. So now going into the Nomad 4 here, which I think against a lot of players for Trumpetino would be really good. Welter, however, is a specialist in hard rock tech. So Nomad tech, right, is a little different, but if you can play hard rock tech, you can definitely play Nomad tech. So I unfortunately don't know how good of a pick this is for Trumpetino, and as if to illustrate my point, Welter has 99.4 accuracy to Trumpetino's 97.6 right now.
Yeah, this was always going to feel a little risky, I think, as we said going into it. Trumpetino saying he's out of picks. And, you know, that's obviously a little tongue-in-cheek, but there's a little truth to it as well when you're against an opponent who's so strong at so many things. That accuracy gap tells a lot. And again, this map does feel like it comes down to a couple of big diff spikes. If you can hold through the first one, not break on the last 5 combo before the slow section in the middle, you get 1,000 combo in the map, and then you've got the really difficult ending diff spike as well. So technically speaking, even down accuracy, you know, there's a chance to bring it back just by hitting a couple patterns in the map as a whole, but it's a tough spot to be in for Trumpetino here. Underdog in the match, so maybe you just, you know, throw caution to the wind and have fun with it. There's going to be the break in this first Ki, and Welter going to be off to the races. That lead, 40,000 points already, 2% accuracy. Oh, okay, he's good. 2% accuracy advantage, and now a massive combo lead as well. It's the Welter show, Dio. It's just going to be the Welter show here on this one. Let's see how long he can hold. Let's see what he can do with this, because he is up to about 1,000 combo now, making his way through this diff spike with what looks like ease. This is way harder than that man is making this look, and he is having a day on this.
This is what I mean by Welter has really impressed me lately, is that, you know, we're 2/3 of the way into this map. We've made it through, I would say, the most difficult section of this map already, and Welter is still holding a full combo. This is not even his pick. This is Trumpetino's pick, who actually is doing pretty well on this map, right? This is a solid score for Trumpetino right now. It's not like this is a bad play at all for him. Unfortunately, he is just against an absolute demon in Welter, who has a frozen client? Question mark? Okay, never mind. We're good.
It's happened twice now. I'm not really sure what's going on. He's frozen. He's frozen twice, but it's been fine both times.
We'll see. Anyway, yeah, he has been on a tear recently. He is absolutely ridiculous on tech maps in particular. That is one of the pick strategies that he used to quite literally winning the tournament in the 1v1 that I hosted earlier this year. And he has been a fantastic tech player for a long time, especially on hard rock tech, but also on Nomad tech. And I'm just looking to see exactly how big of a score lead he can generate on this map, because right now he's on track for a full combo. Let's see if he can hold on here through the ending.
I don't know if we've seen an FC on this map as of yet. It feels like everybody finds a break somewhere or other, but if anybody was going to do it, certainly feels like Welter could be the one. It's a near 1,700 combo coming into the last little bit of map, the very ending combo. Can he bring it home on these last few circles? And he can. Wow. Very well done there to Welter. Drops the FC on the Nomad 4, his opponent's pick, and he says, nope, that's mine. Thank you very much. Snatches it right away. 265k score lead in this set off that map, and he can do whatever he wants with his own pick here, because I'm sorry to say, you're just not bringing that kind of advantage back against a player who's on a level that Welter is today.
Yeah, that is absolutely absurd. Now, Welter, I think you pick your absolute worst map in the pool here, and he picks his Protect. Okay. I was going to say, you pick your absolute worst map in the pool, because it doesn't matter what you pick right now. You're up 265,000 points in the set. Who cares, right? Pick your worst map. Remove a pick from the pool for your opponent, but is just going to pick his Protect instead. I suppose this was fine. He is currently up 3 maps in a row and up a massive amount of score. I also think that he has some solid picks left in the pool. I think Nomad 2 is solid for him. I think the DT1 is solid for him. I think the Nomad 3 can also be good for him here. So I think he is not really worried about winning this match overall with, 3 or 4 solid picks left, including the Hard Rock 2. I think that's enough to win the rest of the match. I do think it would have been cool, though, to see that kind of strategy in play, right? To pick your absolute worst map after winning by a massive margin and effectively just remove a good pick from the pool for your opponent.
I'm telling you, I love the strategy of this format. I just think it's cool with things kinds of like you're talking about. It's unique, it's different, and I feel like it sometimes gives us opportunities to see maps that we might not otherwise see. Here, obviously, picking the Protect, not the case, but in some situations. And I wonder, this is not strictly related to the strategy or anything, I wonder what the biggest single set score difference is, like in the 2-map cumulative score has been so far. Because if Walter can win this one by a big margin, he stands to win this set by like 400k, which would be pretty crazy to see over the course of 2 maps in the Lazer scoring system. I don't know off the top of my head what kind of gaps we've seen so far in the course of the tournament, but that would be a pretty big one. But you talked about Hard Rock Tech and Precision, and Welter being good at those, and kind of seeing that here. Lead's only 50k, but you don't really need much of a lead when you're up by 265,000 points off the first map. You just need a not negative 265k lead, which I think you're pretty safe here. If you're Welter,
yeah,
I think you're having a good time.
I think he's pretty safe on this one. I kind of want to see if we have any stat checkers who know what the biggest score lead in a set has been so far, because this is definitely going to be up there. We're already well over 300,000 score lead, right? So maybe somebody knows the stats on that. I don't know. I haven't watched every match, I don't think. So I think I missed one last night, unfortunately, going to bed.
Yeah,
so
same. Yeah,
we'll
same.
see.
I was unfortunately not awake for Jackson versus Emil Bus because it was 1 in the morning, and well, that is late.
That is.
And what's scary in this match, in this circumstance, getting back on track a little bit there, is Welter has first pick in the 3rd set, right? With a 2-0 set lead and a gigantic amount of score gap in this 2nd set as well. It's going to be, looks like around 300k, give or take a bit. Trumpetino putting up a pretty reasonable combo here in the back portion of this map. Unfortunately, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But Welter is going to have every bit of momentum you can possibly have, as well as having the pick. Doesn't have his Protect now, but he does have everything that's left in the pool, which means he gets a 2-0 lead, and he has the opportunity to take a 2-0 lead with a score lead from map 1 of set 3 as well. That the break point kind of vibe when you win by score on your opponent's pick when they're picking first in a set. Good job, T1G. That made a lot of sense to everyone listening. That advantage is just huge. So
yeah.
Going into the 3rd set now, 2-0 lead and a pretty big composite cumulative score lead as well. Driver's seat stuff here, pressing the gas pedal to the floor for Welter.
Yeah, let's see where he wants to go. Pick Nomad 2 one time? No, it's going to be the Hidden 3 instead. One time? No, it's going to be Hidden 3 instead. I actually am a little surprised at this pick. I was really expecting kind of anything outside the hidden pool. It's not like Welter is bad at hidden necessarily, but he's also not particularly strong on it, and I would say his strengths definitely lie a little bit more with DT and with tapping and tech, which all of the non-hidden picks definitely fill right now. So I'm a little surprised to see the Hidden 3, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad pick. And in fact, I think out of the remaining hiddens, this is definitely the best map for him. We saw this in the last match as well. This map does a lot of different things. It's primarily a flow aim test, but also has some slider aim, has some aim control at 170 BPM, has a little bit of finger control, has a little bit of stop and go stack reading as well in it. So kind of a mixed bag, but I think something like that benefits Welter a lot. being the much higher seeded player in this matchup. You tend to be better across a wider variety of things. That's how you get high seeding, after all.
Yeah, and also worth noting really quick, Trumpetino in the qualifiers got 44th on Hidden 1 and 40th on Hidden 2. So on paper, not strictly speaking what you would consider a hidden specialist. Welter possibly taking that into account when picking this map. Just peek at qualifier results and say, what did my opponent not do well on? Here's a couple of options to the hidden pool. That being said, Trumpetino did have a better early combo before that break a little bit ago, so he did keep this close to in his favor for a while there. But now we see it kind of falling apart for him. Several breaks there as we're reaching the halfway mark. And as you said, you just have to be the better player across a breadth of skill sets if you want to be the number 3 seed versus the number 30 seed. And Welter displaying that here as he is building up a large combo, a big accuracy lead. Over 100k score lead again is just going to feel pretty insurmountable if you're Trumpetino. He'll have the next pick regardless, but unfortunately for him, it's looking like it's going to be at a pretty big score deficit. And let's just see what Welter can do with the last 40 seconds of this map, because he has been putting on a show for us in this match so far, and he doesn't look to want to end that anytime soon as he makes his way through that flow pattern, makes his way through the linears into the sliders in the last chorus with a big combo and some solid accuracy as well, man. Look, if you ever wondered why this guy was the number 3 seed in this tournament, I think you're kind of finding out live on stream right now as he is putting up crazy score after crazy score.
Which is also not too surprising, right? He's the number 3 seed after Malashevsky and Emrek, who are arguably the 2 best tournament players in the world right now. I think the only other person that you could argue about is like worst HR player, and Welter is right behind the 2 of them. So yeah, of the human players in this tournament, he is the number 1 seeded player. So he is actually very, very strongly seeded in this one, and another 250,000 score gap for Welter out of that map. So Trumpetino, man, you've got some ground to make up. Where are we going? What map are we going to? Because it has been 5 maps and 5 wins in a row for Welter, not to mention the 2 set wins that we have. Hey, and he goes for Nomad 2. I appreciate it. Thank you. I have a soft spot for Nomad 2. Should be very obvious to those of you who know tournaments generally. I commissioned this song for the Perennial. This was an original song for that tournament. It's tech streams. Tech streams the map, basically. Tons of cut streams, a lot of very rough wiggle streams as well in this map, but a lot more kind of linear cut stream focused patterns in Are We Floating in Space by Balabdash.
I do want to make one small correction, Dio, just to give Trumpetino his due. He did win that double time pick with the FC in the first set.
You are right. My bad.
He has managed to win 1 map in this match, and it was by a pretty big margin at the end. It was like a 90,000 score in his favor on that pick. So just want to make sure he gets his credit for his performance on that pick, if nothing else. He's struggled a bit in this competition the rest of the way through due to how well Welter's been playing largely, but he did win that pick, so I do want to give him credit there. And yeah, coming into your commissioned tech stream song map. Not flow streams as the sheet says. This is all about the tech streams, and as you said, Trumpetino's got his work cut out for him, trying to make up a 250k score gap. Not looking like it's going to be too likely. There's some big breaks even with Lazer, alleviating the note lock problems. Still, the miss aims are very feasible on a map that requires as much aim control as this one does. And guess what? Welter just having the time of his life over here, holding on to the FC, holding on to the 99% accuracy. We saw Gilgamesh last night putting up a new personal best in their top 15 on this map. I don't know that that's too feasible for players at this level, because I think
I don't think so for Welter.
I think their rank is a little too high for that. But
yeah.
It would still be cool to see maybe an FC or something on this out of Welter, just to cap off this match in style.
Yeah, an FC on this would be a really ridiculous score. There's not that many of them, I don't think, on this map. Yeah, there's a grand total of four FCs on this map. 5, actually. There is one more. Yeah, there's a grand total of 5 FCs, modded or no mod, on this map. So, Welter, you've already won the match. Let's see if you can close it out in style with the 6th ever full combo on this map. And I do have laser mode on the website, just in case anyone else did it in this tournament already, but doesn't seem like it, as Welter still holding on, even through the circular cut streams there, getting into more of the wiggle patterns now, and still holding strong here. As we get very, very close to the end of the map. This is not going to get any really easier into the end here. It's not going to get too much harder either, but still a ton of very, very tricky patterns here. A ton of aim control on basically all of these streams as he continues to tear through the cut streams, just absolutely demolishing this map. And yeah, that'll be the 6th ever full combo on the map by Welter in match, for a grand score lead total in this set of over 600,000 points. Absolute dominance from Welter here.
I mean, Welter just won the set by almost as much score as Trumpetino put up on the second map, by a bigger margin than the score Trumpetino put up on the first map in the set. I mean, that's just an insane showing. Really, really impressive stuff from Welter, man. What more can you say? Like, good effort to Trumpetino, but this is the reason why this was the number 3 versus the number 30 seed. Welter is just incredibly solid at so many skill sets, and had that on full display in this match. The 3-0, it's going to be 5-1 in maps overall. Trumpetino just winning that early DT wasn't enough to make up the score gap to try to win the first set, and Welter was just off to the races from there on. A great showing from Welter for the victory, and we'll move on to the round of 16. He will await the winner of Schwartz versus NEU. Luna is Tabby versus NEU, which is a match that's coming up later today. So it'll be Welter to have some time to plan out the next round. But man, if he keeps playing like this, the sky is the freaking limit, bro.
Yeah, he is obviously playing very, very well, having gotten the 6th FC ever and number 5 on the number 6 on the map there. For the last pick, the Nomad 2, having gotten a 600,000 plus score lead in set 3, which I'm just going to go ahead and say is the largest score difference that we have seen so far, right? We have not seen Malashevsky or Emrek play yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that that's the largest score difference that we have seen so far. And maybe one of them will top it. Maybe, actually, no, we've already seen Flying Tuna. We've already seen Atkins. We've already seen a Secret Box play. So I think it's just those two in the conversation for topping that sort of set lead. Maybe we'll get a surprise from somebody else. Who knows? In the meantime, though, that is going to do it for us for now. We have another couple of matches coming up here in an hour at 16 UTC. Those being Taquito versus Sigi. That one going to be on this stream, OS Live. And number 8, Namoe versus number 25, Juan Dario. And Namoe, I don't actually know, but that is the San Marino
Arged
flag, so that should be Arj.
Yeah.
And Juan Dario is a rename of Juan Dirio, formerly with a Hong Kong flag, if that rings any bells for anyone out there. Did flag change to Canada very recently and renamed to Juan Dario at about the same time, so might be a little bit unfamiliar for some people on the new name, new flag, but should be a relatively familiar player for people informed in the tournament scene in general. Aaron, that's it for us for now. Any closing words?
I'm just incredibly impressed by Welter. That was a ridiculous performance. And also, you got to give shout outs to Kosirek in the preceding match. A good win, the first upset so far in this round. We'll see if we get more throughout the afternoon as we continue through round of 32. But that was an impressive victory as well. So good job to both of them. Thank you to everybody who's been watching. Congratulations to all of our winners. Thank you to Dio for the cast. and to everybody involved reffing, streaming, and so on. We will be back in just a bit over an hour's time, 16 UTC, as mentioned, for those couple of matches at the same time. Check in on both Osu Live and Osu Live 2 for the simultaneous matches. But until then, grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a drink, have a nice little hour, and we'll see you on the other side as LGA 2025 round of 32 rolls onward.